Hey, this is Ari. I recently sat down with brain health expert and functional neurologist, Dr. Titus Chu. We had an epic conversation on the podcast, and I wanted to share this little clip with you from that podcast and also encourage you to click the link below, check out the full episode. Lots of value in there, so enjoy this little clip.
But yeah, I mean, we can start with the example that you use with the arm and the cast. The wild thing is, research has shown is when you do that, the areas of your brain that control and perceive that arm, they also atrophy. So absolutely applies to the brain, right? But that's the good news is, again, right, you have that use it or lose it principle, but then the flip side is also true, right? You can actually use the same things, like you can target regions of the nervous system that might be weakened from chronic stress or a concussion or inflammation. And then in doing so, trigger this beautiful process we call neuroplasticity, right? So the brain is plastic in the sense that it can shift and change to our environmental experiences. So going back to that first two you talked about earlier, a big part of what I was saying, the brain's unique and we can use the senses to do that. And I love when you drop the hormesis. I was just thinking about it when you're saying this. We can use the senses as a hormetic trigger, right? So for example, like if we're just sitting at our computers so much these days because of changes in society, the first thing you want to do is buy a little foam pad that you start standing on in front of your computer instead of just sitting on your butt. Because when you stand on a foam pad, that challenges all these motion detectors located all throughout your body, your muscles and joints, right? We call muscle spindle cells, GTO, all these different, motion sensors. And when you're standing and you're challenging your balance, those little hormetic stressors send signals to your cerebellum, which controls your core stability, right? It also controls digestive function, autonomic function. There's research connecting the cerebellum with limbic function, meaning emotions, and also cognition, right? So yeah, I love the fact that, those are the exact principles. Really, my life's work is based on all that you're talking about, but specific to the brain. Like, number one, use it or lose it. Number two, you can do specific things to actually gain specific brain function, brain volume, right? And then number three, the idea of hormetics, like small doses of sensory-based triggers, right? Whether it's color therapy or just going and walking in nature and being present to the leaves rustling, the sounds of the leaves rustling, right? And the visual textures of the leaves and your feet crunching on the ground. When you're really present to that, it triggers these neuroplastic changes in your nervous system. Now, the cool thing is, right, that's all happening in the background, right? So even if you're not being present to it when you go, walking or you bathe yourself in these sensory experiences, it's all happening. The cool thing is you can be intentional with it, with what you're trying to accomplish in your life. So as an example, right, I talked about concussion and my journey to heal from my concussion. When I had that concussion, specific regions of my nervous system were damaged. Number one, in the vestibular system, which that's why I had those weird, like I was describing earlier, those vertigo events where I almost fell out of my chair. Number two, my brainstem was stuck in a state of fight or flight after the concussion, right? And number three, this area we call the prefrontal cortex that deals with emotional regulation. Those regions were injured, right? But when I finally realized that, yeah, I did have an issue with these areas, then I took everything I knew how to shift that, both, from a chemical perspective through diet, supplements, lifestyle, but then also through this neuroplasticity approach with the senses, right? I started doing eye exercises to target regions of my central executive network, right? You can do eye exercise to trigger neuroplasticity in your prefrontal cortex and improve your focus and concentration, as an example, right? And you can do, there's different like balance training you can do to help your vestibular system. There's technologies out there that I call electroceutical devices that can reset your brainstem and stress response by way of the vagus nerve. So all those things can be done intentionally. And the beautiful thing though, that was me trying to heal my brain. And then I took that principle to help my patients heal their brains, right? But my point is, beyond that, kind of what you're speaking to, just like this idea of not of just, I can hear it. You didn't really speak to it directly, but I hear it, is this idea where you can take the same principles and not only help someone who's struggling with a health issue, but also take someone who's relatively healthy, take their brain to a whole new level, right? Neuroplasticity is the same principles. And that's what I discovered. And so it's super exciting stuff. And yeah, everything you're speaking to really resonates with me.
Hey, this is Ari. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one more thing before you go. Actually, two more things. One is, if you enjoyed this particular little clip, the link to the full-length podcast is in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Also, one more thing. Let me ask you a question. What if I could show you how to double your energy levels and dramatically improve your brain function, reducing your anxiety and depression to a degree on par with antidepressant drugs, but without the side effects? Sound pretty interesting? Well, there are, in fact, numerous compounds that can do this, that have been shown to do this. And I'll take you through just a few of these very briefly. One of them is rhodiola rosea. And this has been shown in studies, rhodiola rosea extract, in people with stress-related fatigue and exhaustion, to cut their levels of fatigue and brain fog in half in less than a month. Just this one compound. There's another compound in my formula Energenesis called NT factor phospholipids that's been shown to help repair mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial health to the level of healthy 29-year-olds, taking people with deteriorated mitochondria who are over the age of 65, restoring it to the level of healthy 29-year-olds. And that has been shown in numerous studies in various types of chronic fatigue, aging-associated chronic fatigue, obesity-related chronic fatigue syndrome, to increase energy levels by 30 to 45% in the span of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on the specific study. So dramatic improvements in a very, very short period of time. Two more compounds that are amazing, I highly recommend, that are in my formula Ultra Brain, along with rhodiola rosea. Saffron extract. This has been shown to increase levels of, improve your mood, I should say, and decrease levels of depression on par with fluoxetine, which is Prozac. And not only that, but with fewer side effects. It's much safer and much less likely to cause negative effects than antidepressant drugs are. Acetyl L-carnitine is another compound that's been shown to dramatically improve brain health in older adults. It also improve energy levels in older adults with chronic fatigue by between 40 to 50% in just the span of 2 to 4 months. And the last thing I'll mention here is acetyl L-carnitine has also been compared to antidepressant drugs and been shown, like saffron, to be as effective as antidepressant drugs in combating depression, but without the harmful side effects that so often occur with the drugs. So this is just a small sampling of the over 35 compounds that are in my formulas Energenesis and Ultra Brain that are all proven to dramatically improve energy levels, mitochondrial health, and brain health, and much, much more. And I highly recommend that you go check these out. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety or brain fog, if you're struggling with stress-related exhaustion and burnout, if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, go check out these formulas, give them a shot. I promise you are going to be blown away by the results. And like I said, the science has already proven that these things work. So you don't have to just take my word for it. There's lots of research to support that. And I'll even link to some of that research down below so you can verify everything that I just said for yourself. So the links to those studies will be in the description for this video down below. So check them out. Check out the formulas on theenergyblueprint.com. Again, Energenesis is the mitochondrial formula, and Ultra Brain is our brain formula. Check them out, try them out, and I think you're going to be blown away by the results. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.